Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Today's video is from the recent winter camp, and it was during my session when I was talking about the difference between technical training and applied technique. So the idea of the stuff that you do in the dojo to progress your knowledge and to give you a structure to learn principles is different to what you would actually do in a real life situation outside of the dojo. Now, it seems a lot of modern Aikido clubs only practice the former and don't even consider the latter. So I'd be very interested to see what you guys think about this. As always, let's get a discussion going down in the comments. Smash the like button, blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy. So, one of the things I want to talk about today is the difference between technical training and applied training, or should we call it technical technique and applied technique. Now, this is something my guys have been working on quite a bit in the last year or so. I think there is a misunderstanding, especially within the Aikido community, but in many martial arts, that the syllabus-based training that the majority of places do, including ourselves, is to teach principles. And the problem is because that's passed down from sensei to sensei to sensei without much in the way of sparring or, should we call it, real life experience, there becomes this belief that the technical training works exactly as it does in the dojo in real life, which, when you say it that simply, obviously isn't so. It's like learning a musical instrument and spending ages learning how to play chords and learn scales, and then going to do have a jam session with other musicians and just expecting to do that and for it to work. There's two things. One is the basis of learning, a basis of understanding how things work. But applying that is largely down to the situation. You can't just have a one solution, So this is something I want to talk about a little bit today. I'm going to do some technical versions of some techniques, and then we'll have a play with it and see if we can see whether or not it works in an applied situation. Okay, so this is we'll start with something. We'll start with a classic. We'll start with Kotegaishi. Now, a bit of history behind it. Quite often, this was always taught to me as it means a small turn of the wrist, or wrist out turn. And someone actually said to me that kote translates as little hand. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't speak Japanese. Having done a bit of chasing up on this, apparently the kote was the armor, the forearm armor. So we're going back to the days when you were fighting with an edged weapon, and if you were trying to reverse that angle of that piece of armor so that the big pointed sharp thing was not towards you, then that makes sense. But as an unarmed or an open-handed technique, it's a completely different thing. So there's the historical background to something which leads you into the technical delivery, if you like. It comes from that. That's why it's been taught in that way. And then there's the real life application of it. So let's just have a little play with something. Come on, Tony, please. Are you warm? Good, okay. So Kotegaishi, I was always taught this from Ihami. It was kind of a big circular, this kind of thing, slow motion, which is lovely, but clearly that's a huge movement. It's a huge body movement, and he is, this is just a static grab. There's no pull, there's no push. In reality, if someone grabs you like that, I'm much more worried about that, or this, or the knee, or whatever, okay? So, technical, let's just do this. So he's holding on in a nice solid fashion, his arms relaxed, he's got a good connected grip, so that I can borrow his body to feel what his technical structure is doing, what his posture is doing, where his balance is, okay? Going to do a shortened version. This is what we're doing for our basic now. So I'm going to move off the line and I'm going to draw him into his toes slightly. Now I'm not pulling with my arms. As I change my posture, I'm rotating this hip out slightly and I'm just spiraling, and this is staying connected to my center. Now that's just taking you into your toes, right? Your heels slightly light. So now let's put something else in there. All of a sudden now, it changes completely. We've got a reaction, he's turned his head away, and that's increased that kazushi. So just putting the strike in increases the effect of that small turn. Now I'm going to drop this down into here, and I'm going to sink. And I'm not sinking directly down because his foot is reinforcing his arm. I'm sinking down and I'm drawing out still. So I'm increasing the effect of that initial movement. And this reach over here, I'm actually going around under the arm. I'm not just holding on to here, because I want to be able to rotate my back hip back now and start turning him out. Then I've changed my base and I'm going to break out using the rotation of this through the weakness of the grip, keep contact, and then sink and take him down to the floor. Now it's patently obvious to see there are many, many issues with that if we were doing this as an applied technique. But for the purposes of learning the mechanics of how this works and how it affects the body, this is a great way of starting off. So this is why we use it. This is our kind of our 101 for our newcomers. So I'm drifting, striking, sinking, rotating, sinking. And then I've got whichever pin, the classical one, you know, whatever I want. So for now, be sensitive to what you can feel from your partner. If you're training with someone that's got a bit of experience, hold on tight. Don't go rigid. If you do that, you're changing the rules of the technical training. The only way they're going to get it on you is by giving you a nice friendly early morning tap. So keep yourself alive. Change shape. Spiral. He's gone forwards this time. It's a slightly different technique. Drift down to here. Open up. Now, because he's gone slightly forwards, I'm not going to take him back to the corner. I'm going to lead him back in this direction. Okay. Now, just so the camera can see, this breakout, there's the weakness of the grip. Some of you guys have got big hands and are going to overlap, so it's going to be even harder. If I try and go backwards, my hand is wider than my wrist, I can't pull out through this. But if I rotate, when I get to here, this part of is going towards me, this part is going away. There's the fulcrum within the grip. Hold on tight. Come on, be all good, hold tight. If I try and just use my arm, my only leverage is from my shoulder and I'm pushing out through my elbow, and there's limited movement through these joints. If I move my whole body, so I'm basically just changing my structure from my feet. I'm lifting my heels and I'm pushing one hip back and the other one through, just making a little, if you like, a tenkai movement. So here, that will give me my breakout. That will give me my structure, okay? So if I've got this here, there it is, and I'm just keeping the contact, from on my forearm. So rather than breaking out, doing this kind of thing, I've got the ability to flow the whole thing on. And again, it's still technical. It's a bit more functional, but it's still technical training. So we'll have a little play with this. One other thing, I was teaching this the other day and this was going on, which is okay, but then you're losing the base of the wrist. It's a bit harder to get the rotation on if someone's arm's a bit thicker. So keep your Tegatana open, shape, strike. He's gone back the other way now. I'm going to go this way. Grab someone, have a go. Let's see what we can do with it. So, just a couple of things. The majority of the mechanics of this are the drop. Pretty much everything involved in this is sinking him into either the inside of his toe or the outside of his toe, depending on the direction. It's this. Now, there's a couple of people pushing. It's easy, especially when you're thinking about this, your head starts looking down and you're already concave. Keep your posture as natural as you can and just change your levels. Right? Just like dropping a pole into a hole in the ground. So whichever you're going to do, just change, just compress. Let gravity help you out, you know. When this is in front of your centre, then you can move and it's right in the middle of your structure. If you're up here, and I'm a short ass, so you know, it's very, very easy for me to end up overreaching. If I do this, I'm already isolating my shoulders or whatever, no matter what technique I'm doing. And I'm talking from a technical point of view again. You know, this is I've isolated. I've got the big gaps under my armpits, which is never a good idea. Keep this down low, put the shape on here, and it's body movement. I'm hardly doing anything with my hands. This is, and again, it took me a long time to kind of get. Kotegaeshi was always this, you know, the wrist and that, or whatever it was, you know. It's a very hard technique to get on a non-compliant person if we're going to step up. People, it makes a fist. It's very, very difficult. But the balance, the kazushi of it, still works. You've got to get this elbow out at least to the hip bone. So if we're doing just technical training, let's learn from it. Still got my shape here, sinking down, hold on tight. Oh, that's better. I don't even have to break out. I'm just going to move into the position. Then I can change and I can do whichever. God, the YouTube comments are going to be great on this one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the same every time. My sensei used to say to me, after you've been training, you know, a little while, two techniques will be the same. Two techniques are the same for anyone. But it just takes a bit more experience for you to be able to do something with something that is different to the first time. If he's holding me and I'm doing a nice, you know, if I'm doing it every time, that's fine, but he's turned right away this time. His weight's right into his back foot. If I just stood here like that, that front foot would come up and I'd be singing soprano for the rest of the day. You know? I'm going to change it. It's fine. And watch the foot. See what I mean? Treat it as a framework for you to understand the mechanics of the thing a bit differently. So, two things. Me rambling on. Number one, keep it low. Keep it in front side of the centre, low down, make the body movement what's taking the balance. Don't try and do stuff with your hands. Number two, once you've got this shape on, don't worry about the hurty business. Don't worry about the kotegaeshi causing pain. It's the direction that's more important. Have one more go, please. Okay, so let's just, as an example, let's just, we'll play about with it as an applied, and again, there's no rules to this. You could invent any scenario. You know, the thing with stuff off the you know, that's not on the mat, that's outside the dojo, is that it could be absolutely anything. If he's going to grab me here, there's a good chance he's going to, yeah. If someone grabs you, they're not going to be static, are they? Most of the time, I suspect from here, yeah, I'm going to get a pull. So if he comes in and he grabs and he pulls, it's going to be very hard for me to do this kind of stuff, you know. And if this comes out of nowhere, you've got to deal with that evolutionary flinch reaction. I know, you know, martial arts theory says that we breed that out of ourselves. But the reality is it's there from evolution. If he grabs me and pulls me and goes to swing a punch, I'm going to do this. You can't help it. But you've got to try and get yourself back into the technical framework as quickly as you can. And this is a whole other conversation. So grab, pull in, strike, bang. Not Kotegaeshi. Because in that particular instance, up here, and again, he's being nice, obviously, but in that particular instance, that's what was there. And this is the difference between technical and applied. If he grabs me and he pulls in and he strikes and I happen to turn this way, again, Kotegaeshi is going to be very hard. It might be something, it could be anything. So this is what I'm saying. And this is when you start to add something different to your training. You might start off with a technical thing like this and he pulls in and says, and again, he can still kick me, and I know that, but the scenario would change every single time. This is why to do a technical technique and think that is going to work against that attack every time is nonsense. And this is the problem with the way things are going. So I just want you to try this for fun. Pair up with someone about the same size if you can. Grab them, pull, just give your partner a slap. That's it. And just see, not sensei with the headset on, but pull in and just see. He's being so nice, he's falling over for me. Just see what would happen, Grab, pull in. Have a go. Have a shot.